Well, climate change is the greatest security threat to the well-being and security of Pacific people, and this is something that Pacific leaders have been reiterating for the last 17 years, every single year in their annual communique. And that's because we are already facing the impacts of climate change as small island nations on the front line of climate impacts. Our countries really need global action to change that trajectory for them. And the only way that they can help enable that action is through this multilateral process called the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Convention on Climate Change.
You know, in my mind, Pacific priorities should be global priorities. As Pacific leaders have said here, a thriving Pacific represents a thriving world. The Pacific has had such a strong leadership role on the 1.5 degrees within the Paris Agreement that now it's our job to make sure that nations fulfill that not just target but obligation. I see my role as first listening and amplifying, providing a platform wherever I can to Pacific priorities.
Number one priority is always mitigation, that we get polluting countries to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions.
Consistently, the Pacific have raised how inaccessible climate finance is, particularly for what I think we should call large ocean states. So that is an area where they've been strong advocates, but have also at the same time create a Pacific-led initiative in the Pacific Resilience Facility.
The access to loss and damage funding now, because as I mentioned, they're already suffering damages and they've already suffered loss. And so they need the resources to be able to cope with those challenges. So our countries have always had a very strong focus on ensuring that oceans is mainstreamed into climate change discussions, and that we have a much greater focus on leveraging resources into that space as well. And then this year, there seems to be a much stronger role, I think, in recognition of the importance of Indigenous knowledge and culture.
Loss and damage is also critical, but alongside that, proposing that it's time for us to think not just about the lungs of the world, our forests, but the heart, and that is our oceans. Now is the time for a COP31 on oceans.
You know, one of the most wonderful things that I've seen in the course of that 3-decade marathon is our young people are coming to the table with such, powerful statements of accountability to the rest of the world. We need the rest of the world to listen. And of course, we're hoping very much that COP31 will be in the Pacific, where the rest of the world can come and see what it actually looks like to be on the front line of the impacts of climate change.
It's possible. I've always been an optimist, but not an optimist based on nothing, based on evidence. We have started to see positive tipping points. Previously, what was seen impossible is possible. We cannot give up on 1.5. It's imperative for the survival of the Pacific, so let's do it together.